Hey there guys, what is going on? Welcome back to the next episode of this particular series in which we are taking a look at every single weapon in the game and giving a best class setup for it. Today we are of course looking at the LMGs as promised in the last video, which was the shotguns. If you missed that one, there will be a link at the end of the video if you do want to go check that out. Just before we do get into talking about the best class setups for all the LMGs in Modern Warfare, make sure you keep that going by hitting that subscribe button with those notifications turned on, just in case you don't want to miss out on any of the upcoming videos. Of course, the marksman rifles will be next in this particular series, so don't miss that. So starting us off here, we've got the PKM, and now notably, all of the LMGs are slightly worse than they used to be as a result of that most recent no-stock nerf. When they did nerf the no-stock, it was really intended to sort of decrease the power level of most of the assault rifles, but this did in turn also affect the LMG category because most of the LMGs were running around with the no-stock, making them kind of more mobile and actually like usable, but that decrease of the recoil control that it did get now is a little bit unfortunate, but we have to make it work, so that is what we're going with today. So of course, as I said, starting off with the PKM here, we're pretty much looking for a great combination of everything that we like about LMGs. So good damage at range, easy to control recoil, and sort of middling mobility stats and handling, stuff like that. But the PKM is a really easy one to handle and sort of aim down sight nice and quickly. But we'll start off with that monolithic suppressor for that sound suppression damage range, and of course that increase to our bullet velocity. Basically this means we are as powerful as we can be at range. We could of course chuck on like an extended barrel and make it a little bit stronger at range, but it's not worth it. It just makes us too slow, and the damage range that we do get is not really worth the extra effort of being slower. Then as I said previously, we move to the no stock on most of these weapons. Movement speed and aim down sight speed is always going to be a great option for most of this. If you do find the recoil control minuses a little bit significant, you can of course take the FSS close quarters stock. You will lose that extra movement speed and that little bit of extra aim down sight speed, but this can be sort of a counter towards that sort of recoil control loss that we do get from the no stock. So this is of course up to you here. We want sleight of hand because LMGs take ages to reload. I think the reload time on this without sleight of hand is about 4.5 seconds, and with it it's about 2 seconds, which is a little bit more manageable. Still slow, but a little bit better. We want that stipple grip tape, of course, for that aim down sight speed, sprint to fire speed. For the most part, most of these classes are going to be designed around trying to aim down sight more quickly. Then we move, of course, to one of the best attachments for the LMG category, the snatch grip, which is the recoil control and aim down sight speed variant. This does reduce our movement speed by a little bit, but it's really hard to go up past these stats. Recoil and aim down sight speed is just so strong of a combination here. So as I said, most of these LMGs are going to be fairly similar in terms of build. We're just looking to maximize all the good stats and minimize the bad stats with those aim down sight speed and movement speed changes. Next, we do, of course, have the SA-87, which is a little bit more interesting of a weapon. It's probably closer to an assault rifle than it is an LMG in this particular game. Basically, it is like an assault rifle that moves slightly slowly and has increased sort of flinch resistance. In terms of our attachments, we are looking at that SA-87 factory barrel in the 12.4-inch variety for that aim down sight speed and movement speed. There are the other options here, but you sort of get differing amounts of aim down sight speed and movement speed, so it's sort of hard to determine which is actually better, but I mean, you can pretty much choose either of these two barrels and you'll do a great amount of work because you can get those sights up nice and quickly. Of course, then we move to the Forged Tac CQB comb, of course, for that aim down sight speed. A lot of these are going to be very similar, as I said. Stipple grip tape as usual, aim down sight speed, sprint to fire speed. We're going to have a 50 round mag here because the ammo capacity of this particular LMG is, I think, 30 by default, which for an LMG is, of course, a little bit small, so having more bullets is always a good thing. And then we take it to the Commando foregrip as we normally do, recoil stabilization and aiming stability, making it very easy to hit those shots. Controls horizontal recoil, controls a little bit of vertical recoil, really nice option here. The SA-87 is a pretty simple weapon. It's really easy to shoot most of the time. Like, you can do decent damage at range. It was a weapon that did get buffed a while ago, and it's still a pretty good one. It's super underrated. Nobody ever really uses this weapon, but it's a really nice sort of combination assault rifle sort of LMG hybrid because it does move a little bit faster than you would expect from the LMG category, but it's still a nice weapon in terms of damage and range. We move then to the M91, which of course did receive that buff recently, and similar to the rest of these class setups, monolithic suppressor to start us off for that extending out our damage range is really nice here, as we've talked about previously. Then we move to the tac laser here for that aim down sight speed, aiming stability, and aim walking steadiness. A really nice option here to get those sights up nice and quickly and help us stay on target with that sort of weapon sway being reduced, which is really nice. Then we get to the no stock as usual. Again, movement speed and aim down sight speed. If you're feeling so inclined that recoil control is a bit much for you, you can take the XRK Striker for that aim down sight speed only. Then we move, of course, to the stipple grip tape. As usual, you want that aim down sight speed, sprint to fire speed, another good option there. Then that Commando foregrip as well to control that horizontal recoil and a little bit of vertical recoil control. Now, if you do want to feel so inclined, you can reload a little bit faster. You drop off that monolithic suppressor and then take sleight of hand because the reload speed is similar to sort of the PKM, in which it can be very very slow without sleight of hand, so this is another consideration to make. But the M91 is a very similar weapon to a lot of the other LMGs in this particular category. It's just sort of very standard, does good damage at range, has easy to control recoil, aim down, sight speed, and movement speed is kind of slow, but we can sort of move around that with some of these attachment options. Moving to a weapon that I actually do enjoy using, like it's a real lot of fun. The MG34 is a very interesting weapon in this game, and typically the stock variants are real bad. Like, if you just use this straight off the rack, it's going to have that weird stick aim down sight thing, and that's not really good to use. Like, it just blocks too much of vision. But if you do use like an iridescent version or something similar, I've got a couple of variants on my account. The iridescent one and the blowtorch one, I believe they don't have the sort of weird stick thing in terms of aim down sight. So it is really nice to use a variant on this particular weapon, as it does give it a very clear sight picture. In terms of our attachments, we're looking at that FSS stubby grip for that aim down, sight speed, and movement speed as usual. Turning this into a little bit of an SMG style class, just being able to sprint around everywhere with that aim down, sight speed, movement speed bonuses pretty much everywhere. We do of course want to get nice and close with that no stock as well, movement speed and aim down, sight speed. Sleight of hand is always a good option here. I think this has a 50 round magazine by default, so it's closer to an assault rifle in terms of that style, but the reload time is really bad for something that only has 50 bullets, so reload speed is very important here. Then we move to that stipple grip tape as usual, aim down, sight speed, sprint to fire speed, really nice for an aim down sight increase, and then that commando foregrip for not reducing our sort of movement speed and aim down sight speed significantly like the Merc foregrip, and giving us a nice amount of recoil control. Plus this weapon skin looks really nice, so the MG34 is a very cool weapon to use. It really does feel like a faster version of an LMG, so a faster assault rifle is always a cool option in this game. Great damage, good range, and sort of good handling speed with this particular class setup here. Then we move to another sort of style of an assault rifle LMG hybrid. Basically, we're looking at the Holger 26 here. This is built to be sort of like the, the G36C. In terms of our attachments, we're looking at the monolithic suppressor here, of course, for that damage range and sound suppression. Bullet velocity, as usual, a really nice option here, considering that this really doesn't have one of those barrels that does give us that damage range, bullet velocity, and recoil control, so we can get what we can get from the monolithic suppressor. That's all we're really worried about here, extending out our damage range a little bit. Again, the no stock is always a consideration here, but it does make the recoil control a little bit harder to handle. So the XRK axis aim down sight speed bonuses are really nice here for getting those sights up nice and quickly. You then combine that with the stipple grip tape aim down sight speed and sprint to fire speed as usual. The commando foregrip as well for controlling those shots. And then of course the 30 round mags as well for that aim down sight speed, sprint to fire speed, movement speed, and reload quickness. I think you do get a reload speed of about 1.8 seconds, 2 seconds with this, which is really nice when you do compare it to some of the other attachments or the other LMGs in this category. And it makes this weapon an assault rifle, and it's really nice to run around with this. You do, of course, lose that magazine ammo capacity, but the sort of trade-off is really nice here. I do actually really like the Holger 26. I'm probably the #1 Holger 26 fan in the actual world. Like, nobody else actually thinks this weapon's any good, but it's definitely fun to use. It is missing that big barrel option to make it very powerful, but it's still a cool option in this game. Those sort of ammo conversions that do make LMGs and stuff like that a lot faster and more mobile are really cool in this game. Speaking of options that do have attachments that make these LMGs very powerful, the Bruen MK9 with those 60 round mags, that aim down sight speed, sprint to fire speed, movement speed, and a detachable magazine with a reload time of about 1.8 seconds is of course very nice in this game. This was one of the most powerful weapons in terms of sort of damage range, bullet velocity, and recoil control and stuff like that. So getting those shots on target is really easy with this. Really does great damage at range. That tack laser helps us get that aim down sight on target, get those sights up nice and quickly as we talked about previously. No stock as well, or you can take like a skeleton stock, close quarter stock, anything you really do like here. The no stock is the maximum aim down sight speed and movement speed bonuses, so it's really nice for sort of a rushing LMG style. Then you move to the stipple grip tape as usual, aim down sight speed, sprint to fire speed, and round it out with the commando foregrip as well. This is a really good option in this game. It's a really nice rushing LMG class if you do want to get up in people's faces and while maintaining that great damage range, sort of aim down sight speed, movement speed. Everything about this class is really nice here. Then the Bruen MK9 might just be for you. And lastly, but not leastly, the most recent LMG that has been added to the game, the FiNN LMG. I know this is a good weapon. That fire rate of 1,000 rounds per minute, that 4-shot kill at that high fire rate is really nice here, but sometimes it can be a little bit difficult to sort of determine what the best class setup for this particular weapon is. We're going with this here with that factory adverse barrel to increase our fire rate to those about 1,000 rounds a minute. It's a really nice increase and makes us very deadly at range and sort of close range as well. That tack laser for getting that aim down sight speed up nice and quickly, really nice option here to help control our sort of idle sway as well, which turns out it does actually affect our recoil, so the tack laser is a nice option here as well. That no stock as well, we don't really have an aim down sight speed solo variant, so this is sort of the only option we can get to increase our movement speed and aim down sight speed. No stipple grip tape here as well, which is a little bit interesting because there is a full handle there, but I guess you couldn't really have that with the chainsaw, so it's a little bit of an interesting option then not being able to take that. The Merc foregrip as well for that recoil control and hipfire accuracy. Then you could consider the Commando foregrip as well. And then the 5.56 NATO 100 round belts as well for that increased magazine ammo capacity is really, really nice here. Overall, the FiNN LMG is of course a very, very good weapon in this game in terms of the LMG class. It's just a little bit difficult to find the best attachments and stuff like that because they all feel like they're missing something slightly, but it's still very, very powerful. A 4-shot kill at 1,000 rounds a minute is really, really nice here. And that is it, guys. That is every single LMG in the game with a best class setup for pretty much every single weapon. We're working on this list very, very slowly. We're getting to the sort of marksman rifles in the next episode, as I did mention already. Make sure you hit that subscribe button if you have not already done so you don't miss out on the upcoming episodes in this series, and of course more videos from me. I do appreciate you stopping by and checking this one out though. Thank you very much for watching, as I said, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!